One thing that I often hear people say is that I have a full-time job, I make a decent income, so I shouldn't have to have a second income stream or get a part-time job. And I absolutely 100% agree with that. But on the other hand, the fact that you shouldn't have to do that doesn't change that you might have to. And keeping your head above water may include stepping into mini entrepreneurship. Things aren't getting much cheaper, so you might have to consider supplementing your income beyond a part-time job. And I'm not talking about building a full-blown business or quitting your job, and I'm not saying that anything is wrong with part-time work, because if you have an immediate need for money, getting a part-time job will probably be your best bet. However, if you want to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time, a part-time job isn't always the answer, because a lot of these will pay about $15 or $16 an hour, which means that you would have to work 10 or 11 hours to make $150 before taxes. And some people might roll their eyes at what I'm about to say, but hear me out. With so many different ways to make money today, making $50 to $100 an hour is not incredibly hard. And yes, obviously, it's going to take a little legwork to get things off the ground and moving, but once you're in it, you will quickly realize just how accessible that type of income is. And if you're able to make that amount with a side hustle, that means that you can work 3 hours as opposed to 8, 10, or 11 hours. And here's just one example of what I mean. Let's say you cleaned a small office space once a week and you charged between $100 and $150 per cleaning, and it took you 3 hours to clean. So in this scenario, you're making about $50 an hour before taxes, which is realistic. And of course, there's other logistics that you have to figure out, such as getting a business license, getting business insurance, creating a contract. But as someone who's had an office cleaning business since 2008, this is probably one of the easiest and least expensive businesses to get started. Print out some flyers, pass them out on your lunch break, get the office manager's business card, and then follow up in a few days. That's potentially $600 a month before taxes with one client. So imagine if you had 2 or 3. And that's just one idea. If you were to sit down and have a serious 1-hour brainstorming session, you could probably come up with many more ways to earn extra money. You might also have to start downsizing your expectations. There was a time not too long ago where you can get 3,000 square feet for about $1,800 a month in my area. But that same $350,000 house at 2% interest just 5 years ago is now $600,000 at nearly 7%, which can push your mortgage payment well over $3,000. And with prices and rates like that, now might not be the time to splurge on extra square footage, especially if it's gonna push your budget too thin. Because if your mortgage consumes so much of your budget and you're constantly stressed, you're always worrying about it, and you don't have anything left over for even small enjoyments, that is a sign that you've gotten in over your head. And yes, I realize that home prices are expensive across the board, so you're gonna pay more even if you have a smaller place. But even saving $500 a month by choosing a more right-sized home for your needs makes a huge difference, because you can't put a price on peace of mind, and you definitely can't deny how good it feels to have breathing room. Additionally, ditch the idea that dual incomes equal double lifestyle. If you're moving in together and there are no kids in the picture yet, this is the perfect time to be strategic. So instead of allowing lifestyle creep to eat up both of your paychecks, try living on one income and banking the rest. Pay off debt, build an emergency fund, invest aggressively, take care of other goals. Because if you see your combined income as a reason to significantly upgrade your life, and you rely on both incomes to cover every single bill, it only takes one illness, one job loss, or one bout of burnout to throw everything off track. But if you build your life around one income and you treat the other like a tool, it gives you options. You can also set a no-spend window after payday. So for the first 72 hours after you receive your paycheck, commit to not making any non-essential buys. So there will be no I deserve it purchases, and there will be no just in case purchases. Give your budget time to breathe so you can make sure that your needs are taken care of. And this includes your savings goals, your bills, your food costs, and your debt payments. The first few days after payday is when some people make the worst financial decisions, because there's something about seeing that fresh deposit and seeing that new money that tricks your brain into thinking that you have more than you actually do. But if you can just wait 3 days, 72 hours, that's all I ask. That can give you some clarity, and from there you're able to spend from a place of intention and not emotion. And finally, you have to start planning your lifestyle around contentment and not comparison. It doesn't matter how strong you are or how much self-awareness you have. Comparison is a budget breaker because it's constantly pushing people to upgrade, add more, and spend more. And it's so sneaky because oftentimes you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. So you have to learn what's enough for you. And that doesn't mean that you stop improving your life or that you start settling. It just means that you're able to move with intention and not pressure. Because if you're never content and you never feel as if you have enough, it doesn't matter how much money you make or how much you have materially, you're never going to be satisfied and you're always going to be looking for more. And unfortunately, that's why some people are always digging themselves into a financial hole. Because even when they live in a nice home and they drive a nice car and they have nice vacations and they have a great wardrobe, it's not enough. They always want the next level, even if they can't really afford it. So the bottom line is that you have to know you're enough or someone else will define it for you. And if so, it'll likely cost more than money.